Hello everybody, we are live.
What's up?
Hello.
Okay, we have about 6 people watching. Hopefully more people will start streaming in soon. Normally we have about 20-ish on average, plus. Okay, so welcome everyone to episode 3 of Fabbing Together. I'm Travis, your host, accompanied with my co-host Shan, and of course our number one Singapore player, Mr. Eugene Phua, whose camera is not set up for today's stream. So instead, we are using his gold cold foil Karen Huss to flex instead.
Hi guys.
We should put like a googly eyes on it, and then like whenever he talks,
It shakes, right? Yeah, I don't have that animation skills, but I'll take that into consideration next time. Alright, so as a little introduction, so today is our special guest, Mr. Eugene Phua. He is our Singapore number 1 in terms of the FAB TCG leaderboard. And not only Singapore, he's also number 1 for the 90-day leaderboard in our international board as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. I to be honest, I haven't checked in like the last few weeks.
Yeah, so Singapore is actually doing quite well. So not only is Eugene number 1 and quite a significant lead, at third place is also our own local Gino Varela at third place. So Singapore is representing quite hard. Even top 20, our Ting He is up there. So quite a few of Singaporeans showing their strength in the international community.
and it's like a very good achievement because it's over 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days.
It's over 90 days. Because if you look about the whole lifetime of Flesh and Blood, it's about 2 years really.
Yeah, even in 2 years, Eugene is already 7th place. And Eugene, when do you started playing Flesh and Blood again?
November. November.
No, November. So about slightly over half a year.
Yeah.
And you're already catching up to the lifetime leaderboard with all the New Zealanders and Australians, and that's quite crazy. So would you like to introduce a bit about yourself, like you as an individual and some of your accomplishments in Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, so hi guys, I think you guys know who I am. I'm Eugene. Basically, I've been playing card games for a while, or rather a long time, and yeah, I s- I stopped playing card games because I went to NS, and I just played casual format called EDH, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, so most of you should know what that is. So yeah, I played it like basically when I book out, I played, and then after that, I was a competitive player for Magic back then, like grinding the PPTQs, RPTQs, and trying my luck. But sometimes Magic is a difficult game. You get screwed over by your own deck, your lands, and your basically you just can't play it. You can't play the game now, right?
Yep.
So that was before army, during army, and then after that. So after army, I got introduced to Flesh and Blood. I think maybe November. I think October, November last year by Sam Lau. He said, "Hey, you want to try this game? I think this game quite fun." Then I said, "Okay." Then I think that's the long story cut short. So after that, I got hooked onto the game. And that was the end of it.
What was the first hero you tried? What was the first hero?
Okay, so I mentioned this in my interview also to Nicola, right? So back then we didn't have the IRA decks that the new players had. So Sam used his common and rares to build Dorinthia, and then his other deck I think was Katsu. So we literally just played using like Iron Rod and Warrior Valor, all the garbage, all that garbage cards, and then after that I learned how to play the game by getting trash lah. So
I think that's the same story for all of us.
yeah, but okay lah. At least now they solve the problem. Like if you go to a store, you can probably get a IRA deck. How to learn how to play the game. But back then it's like non-existent.
Yeah, it's like a small disclaimer for anyone who is watching, who is interested in Flesh and Blood. Do not get scalped and buy a $80 IRA deck. There are people out there trying to sell those for $50 to $80. Just go to your local gaming store nearby, tell them that you are interested, and they will give the deck to you for free. So do not encourage the scalpers by buying an IRA welcome deck.
Yeah, please don't. Just go to your local game store and I think the shop owner or shopkeeper will, gladly teach you how to play the game.
Yeah, most shops in Singapore are more than keen to get you hooked onto this game so that you start buying packs from them instead. So yeah, so do look out for your local gaming store and get the IRA decks from there. Do not get scalped. Yeah.
But I think
So-
Dorinthia is a good gateway to actually learn the game because you have defense reactions, attack reactions with Dorinthia as well.
Yeah, I mean back then when I played, there was literally just two sets. Crucible just came out, and like it was the ARC characters, like Dash, Viscerai, Azalea, and Kano. Yeah, they're not beginner friendly. And then among the WTR heroes, I think Dorinthia is the most friendly, and then I think Sam just liked Katsu, that's why he picked that one. So that was what I played like back then.
I
Right,
think
so
most people also do Dorinthia during draft, right? Draft. Katsu.
Yeah. I mean the deck is easy to pick up for sure, because it's if you come with a trading card game background, like sometimes when you explain certain mechanics to people, they pick it up very fast. So that's how Sam taught me how to play the game, basically.
yeah, Dorinthia is a bit like your Yu-Gi-Oh deck, right? You activated my trap card. Suddenly you block.
Yeah, I
and
guess.
suddenly something else happens and then it just gets out of hand. So you have to think about all the different mechanics. Yeah, so Dorinthia is quite interesting because like every class in Flesh and Blood plays very differently from one another. I think Dorinthia and all her weapons and like attack reactions and stuff like that is quite unique to her playstyle. Even with the new Boltin, right? Boltin plays very differently from Dorinthia, even though they're both warriors. Same goes for Kasai.
Yeah, but the good thing about Dorinthia is she basically will teach you the core mechanics of the game: blocking, attack reactions, defense reactions, and then calculating damage. These are all the core mechanics of the game. So I think if I were to recommend anybody who wants to learn the game, you should start with Dorinthia. I mean, even if it's just a common attack full of commons and rares, it's good enough.
Yeah, so for whoever else is watching as well, if you see Eugene's picture is the gold coal foil, that's like a tongue twister, gold coal foil carrion husk. So for Flesh and Blood, right, is it region? Yeah, it's a per region. Whoever is the top player per region who hits 1,000 points on the international leaderboard, the first to hit 1,000 for their region in the international board will get a special card specifically from LSS. So Eugene, being the first Singaporean ever to hit 1,000 points, this was his prize, which is a gold coal foil Karen Haas. You can bask in its glory. So how do you feel? How do you feel? You just received it last night, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about getting the husk? Is it what you expected? Were you hoping for something else or?
Yeah, truth be told, I wasn't expecting it, but I unveiled it last night with like maybe a solid 20 people on Discord after the armory. And I thought to myself like, hey, because I knew Dante had the mask, and then I knew Luke had the warrior braces, so because they were warrior and ninja players respectively, and then I was like, in my interview I said I was an avid Kano player, which to be fair, that was literally like that was my first deck of the game, my first deck.
The ultimate big brain deck.
Yeah, because I learned Dorinthia, right? And then after that I was like thinking, okay, what is a different deck than this? Because I think everybody's gonna be playing it, right? So I tried. So then I was like, oh, there's Kano, he does arcane damage, and then I was hooked up. So basically I just spent a lot of time and then playing the deck and won some armies with it. Yeah, I thought I would get Storm Striders, but because I haven't seen a golden Storm Striders, but I mean this house was definitely a surprise because as far as I knew, like we wouldn't get non-class specific gold boys because those are like they're reserved for your nationals, calling, and higher level competition events.
Yeah.
Yeah, so them giving me a Haas is quite cool because it's a shadow and it's generic in that sense.
So what are the other gold coal foils generic? It's a tunic, right? Tunic, skullcap?
Yes, there's tuning and skullcap.
Tuning was from calling, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tuning was from calling. Both are from calling. Basically, if you top 8 a calling, you will get a black envelope as well, and then inside it's a random gold foil.
Oh, a random gold foil or coal foil?
Random gold coal foil.
Oh, okay. So that means technically
Yeah, so I honestly don't know how many are there in the book. Like if you ask me how many golden tunics are there, I say maybe 20. That's my raw guess. So it's really, really rare.
Yeah, but the stuff like husk and mask, all those are only one, right? Because it's to the.
I have no idea. To be honest, because if I don't know how many callings there were, but I know US had some, like maybe last year, and they also have some gold foils for sure. Gold foils, I mean.
Okay. So whoever, if you take a closer look at the Carrion Husk, right, it's actually not just the borders are gold. I was mentioning it to Eugene. The husk itself is gold as well, which is actually quite unique compared to the others. If I'm not wrong, I've seen Dante, he posted his mask. His mask didn't have any gold like shimmer on the card itself. It's just the border. Am I right? Seems that way.
I think there's some parts of the mask that are called gold as well. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the husk, you can see like I don't know if those are dragons or birds or whatever, but they are gold too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, because I was like telling Shan that this gold on the husk itself looks like a warm light shining on it. It's like the little lanterns or so it makes it look even cooler than on normal gold foil Carrion Husk.
But it looks as if it's if you look at the picture properly, right? It feels as if it's like the ribcage of a dead titan. I would say.
Dead towering titan.
Dead towering.
I mean, we'll know when Kingdom comes.
When Kingdom comes, huh? Alright, so as the Singapore number one player, what makes you stand out from all the other players among not just Singapore but like in general? Like what got you up to where you are today? Like some of your plays, your mechanics, or some of your thoughts. I think that's what everyone wants to know, right? Like everyone can play Ira, technically lah. You throw an Ira deck to most people, they can sort of pick it up. But like what makes a good Ira like different from your Ira different from anyone else, or not just Ira but like any deck you play actually, like your Kano. Like you saw your games in the Singapore versus Canada one, and then you had the Kano mirror match, and then everyone was like pulling their hair, blowing their minds, like we have no idea what you were doing, but it worked out, and it's like whoa. So like, give us a little bit of like your thought process when playing this game.
Okay, so this game fundamentally is incremental advantage over time, and very tempo based in terms of blitz, because you know your hand size is limited to usually 4 right? So Ira specifically, yeah, you're not wrong. You can throw an Ira deck to a new player and you can pick it up, but to play it at like the top level is very different, because your every decision when to block, which cards to block with, whether you should take damage this turn, to try to push back more damage, all these little factor counts. And I can truthfully say that I got smashed by Dante like 4-0 or 5-0 in skirmishes the first few times I met him, and that was when I learned how to get better at the deck, because when you play against a stronger opponent and you no matter how hard you try, you keep losing, and then you just you flip the switch and say, hey, what am I doing wrong, right?
Yep.
And then from there, instead of focusing on your own game, you're focusing on his game, so you can learn from the opponent. Like when he plays his cards, okay, his hand was like this, so he chose to do this instead of this kind of thing. And then it's also very important to this game because in terms of your remembering the order of your pitch. So like that is technically public knowledge to you. So if you remember what your opponent pitches early on in the game, and you can count, you will know when he will draw them back. So like against Ira, say they pitch blue, or they usually generally pitch blues, right, to attack you. So if you count and you get onto the later stages of the game, you will know he'll be drawing a full blue hand, or red hand, something like that, and then that turn is his big turn, and then you can set up for it.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think as a middle tier player, I can never memorize my opponent's pitch, but yeah, that's what really makes the difference between a good and a subpar player, I guess. But
I think the lower tier players will actually like pitch blues all the way, and then by towards the end they only have blues, so they can't really attack you and push damage.
you like lose steam.
Yep, precisely. And if you're blocking, like say you're playing the Ira mirror and you're blocking early on, you can block with your blues, because on average, I think you have 15 blues in your deck, so you can probably block with them in some reds, and then you attack when you pitch some reds to make your flying kicks or CMCs, and later on you draw them back, and then they can't block because their hands are all blues. So that's when you can get back tempo of the game.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought, because I myself have struggled to do that, but can't argue and deny from
I mean I learned that skill or like that technique basically from watching people play Kano, because some matchups when you play Kano you have to set up the OTK whereby it's stir fog and then two blues or something, and then during your opponent's turn you just kill him, right? Because he said it does 12 damage, so if he's at 9 and he has number 3, he's dead lah. So
yeah. Who is this? Sean, is it? Sean, yep. Don't eat turn 1 Towering Titan into Crippling Crush can win. Yeah. I think most of us have eaten that in the international meta. Have you ever faced that scenario, Eugene? Or turn 1 Towering Titan?
Yeah, truth be told, I've beaten that person specifically, I think twice, and I lost to him twice. But yeah, I mean, it's beatable, it's beatable, but it's definitely up to battle.
Mm.
Like, there are definitely games where your hands are just good, and there are definitely games where your hand is just bad. But
Mhm.
if you want to improve, you gotta make sure you know what to do with your poor hands or bad inverted commas bad hands per se.
Yeah,
So
I think that's one of
how
the
do
big
you-
struggle, right?
But how do you manage those bad hands though? I mean, you know it's a bad hand. How will you manage? How will you block? What will be your thought process like?
Yeah, so that's the most important thing because like luck is still a factor of card games, right? So you're definitely bound to draw bad hands, and you know if your opponent has a good attack, then you I would just say you're more inclined to block because chances are you're gonna draw a decent hand next turn since your hand is already inverted commas bad, right? And then say if you fully block this turn means you took no damage, right? And you basically time walk your opponent. Basically his turn for your turn. And then the following turn you can try to take damage, or if he has a weaker turn then it's fine. Then you can afford to take damage, and then you try to push back on your turn.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
but I mean if your hand is all red, it's not unplayable per se anyway. Like you still have very strong attack cards like Enlightened Strike, Command and Conquer. All these cards still demand some respect.
Yep, definitely. Because I think the upcoming players they don't realize it. I think it becomes to the point where you have a bad hand. You realize that you have a bad hand. Then after that, okay, I need to manage this somehow. I need to fully block. And then after that, you realize that, hey, I should have done this instead of this. And then that's where you're actually gaining some experience and leveling up.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was how I learned how to play IR2, because like I definitely experienced bad hands and I was like, oh shit, what to do with this hand? I can't function per se, but you could always block with 3 cards, Arsenal the last card, and then you draw a fresh hand. And then if that fresh hand is good enough and your life is pretty healthy, then you can afford to take damage and try to swing back.
I think Blitz is a very fast tempo game, so it's like if you have a good hand, I mean God hand, I mean you can't do anything about it. Just say thanks for the game. That's it. But it's about managing the bad hands, the average hands, to make you at least push through, at least get a very decent game state where it's back and forth. It's like a conversation between two opponents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not like Rhina, me getting hit 24 card intimidate, 25 damage turn 1.
I mean those games definitely do happen now.
Yeah, those games do happen. I'm a victim of that far too many times already.
I break my courage and hit you with my saber 4 times. Okay.
Yeah. Alright, so Skirmish Season 2 is actually already begun for other countries. They are doing the sealed and like draft formats, right? And stuff like that. But the online Blitz Skirmish Season 2 is actually starting this weekend. So how do y'all feel about Season 2? So let's start with like how many Season 1 games actually do you play, Eugene, for Skirmish Season 1? That's like that's where you actually did most of your point climbing, right? Season 1 Skirmish.
If you ask me, right, I honestly don't know. I think maybe events. I mean I can check like how many events I've joined, but I don't know like how many skirmishes I played. Maybe I would say maybe 20-30 skirmishes at least.
20-30 skirmishes.
Yeah, at least. I mean not including your local armies, which was a red race to join, but I always tried to join.
Oh yeah, back then when we could actually meet up in stores, right, where there was a 8-person limit, and then to get even a slot, if you are slow on WhatsApp for like 1 minute or so, it's totally filled up already.
Yep.
Yeah, so now actually it's a good and bad thing that there's this heightened restriction. More people can join armories, so more people get to actually play, but we don't have that literal flesh and blood interaction between players, I guess. So 20 to 30 skirmishes. So how many of them actually do you make like top 8? So cause if you study, some of the skirmishes take like really long. Like you mentioned, like 6 to 7 rounds of Swiss or something like that, right? Then you make top 8, and there's another 3 games if you hit finals.
I mean, to be frank, like I don't know, to be honest. I know maybe I won like 3 or 4 skirmishes, but like top 8 I can't remember, because basically when it's top 8 and it's like 7-8 a.m. here, like Singapore time, I'm like okay, I can play, or I can just call it a day, and then I continue 12 hours later, because like I have another skirmish.
Yeah, so you are the marathon runner, The marathon runner will always, the competitive marathon runner will run until the 32 km mark, and he sees that he cannot get the top 5 placing, top 3, and then he just drop out, and then he can go for the next run, like the following week. If not, he has like 3 weeks of
Yeah. I guess you can say that, because like I definitely remember the most memorable one was the back-to-back. Okay, the back-to-back skirmish. I think it was 2 US skirmish, and then it ended up with flagship. So like I didn't sleep from Saturday, and then I slept I think Sunday 7 p.m. or something like that.
Oh, I think that's the one you face James, right, in the finals. Is that the one?
I think so.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. That's the one with the sticker for sure.
Yeah, the sticker.
That's the one I remember.
Oh
no, the sticker was your finals with Gino, I remember.
Oh, Gino. Oh,
yeah. That was your sticker finals. The ultimate meme that we will never forget.
Because I was literally so tired, man.
Yeah, I can tell.
I mean, yeah. To be frank, like you can ask Gino personally lah. Like he saw games that I played at like the top 8 tables, and he knew I wasn't playing well lah. Then he would just like give me, hey, go and sleep or something. Like I think I can play, continue playing. But then and then after that I faced my top 8 opponent, I win. Then the top 5 scrub. Because I did a mistake, or I forgot a trigger, and then it's like, oh right,
Okay, so
the little things that add up.
James said it was a big play, right? The finals between the two of you.
Oh yeah. He drew like a god. I couldn't win.
Yeah. So just for the sake of for the sake of it, so did you lose because of sleep, or because James got hand? You're gonna stir some Aether win right now.
I would say James was good. Well, James was a better player than me.
Okay, so you heard it from Eugene himself,
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
James,
I
you
think I
heard it.
remember. I think I remember the finals. I think James broke his
Skeleta turn 2.
Kalita turn 2 or something like that. Whoa, it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
I think he turned 1 moderate type or something.
I also can't remember the game, but I met him in like the finals of Swiss, and yeah, he destroyed me too. So
James representing the Rune Boy is. Okay, so with Skirmish Season 2 coming up, now that we have Monarch, right? So Monarch kind of like shook things up a bit, but I still see like a Ira domination. I don't know, how do you feel about Season 2 now with Monarch out? How do you see the meta going forward?
I just think Blitz is too fast. Like 20 life, you don't have a lot of leeway to do things, like do funny things with Prism. Say play an instant, take a turn off, try to set out. Yeah. And the meta, I think, is just the Dorinthia, Ira, and then the variants decks like Kano, Rana.
How do you feel about Chain though? So Chain is getting quite popular all our armories. Do you see him as a...
Chain, I'll compete in the variants deck as well. So like if you want to play a consistent deck, you play Dorinthia, you play Ira. But if you want a variants deck, that can win game on the spot, or out of nowhere, then Kano, Rhina, Chain is up there too, because if you and I don't see Lavia being a thing, because I feel it's just too slow. But I've been waiting to be proven wrong in Blitz, and then Prism. I just don't see how Prism would win.
Yeah, I've been trying Prism for the last 2 weeks. Trying aggro, trying aura, trying a jank deck with only auras. It's too slow. It's too slow.
Yeah, I mean, I can say this because I have tried them myself too. I have asked people to build the deck to go and try. So I said, okay, so this is my theory on the deck, and then I was like, okay, if you have the cards, you go and build, you go and try now, and then tell me how it goes. And then I haven't got good results lah. So the only one that I've seen decent success or decent performance is Shane, but the other 3 new classes from Monarch are I would say in English is utter garbage.
But I think it's more aggro now, you know. I mean, chain is aggro because you can go wide every turn, like 3 hits.
Not,
3
not
hits.
really. Like the playstyle of chain is you need to set up. Like you probably the deck might only function at 3 show cycles and onwards. Like the early on turns, he's just gonna block, and then set up his turn, take some blood there because he's banished cards. He's not gonna play one banish card and then try to push damage. But if he has like five banish cards on like three show shackles, then yeah, he's gonna definitely do a lot of damage.
Yep.
Because people also have Carrion Husk to block like 1/3, which is that card is insane.
Okay, so this is the question I have because I'm a rune boy. I've been struggling. No, I'm not really struggling with chain. I've been playing chain a lot, but I have this internal struggle between Carrion Husk and Aether Iron Reef because I've had games where the Husk has been killing me. So, what's your opinion about that? Because I know like you and James are really big. You guys vouch for the Husk quite highly. So, I'd like to know your opinion about it.
Okay, so Aether IOV blocks for 1 and then gives you 2 resources provided you play attack and non-attack action. And I think having a requirement is bad because not all the time you can trigger it. So I personally dislike it because you're going to be throwing cards from your hand to block, and then you would draw that many back next turn. So you're going to kill yourself faster in the sense by backing out, right? So if say I would just use the Husk to block, I keep a 4-card hand and then I play my 4-card hand, and then after I draw 4 rather than draw more next turn.
Okay.
So I just the Husk course it blocks for 6, but against like stupid decks like Dorinthia, they set up the Steel Blade Supremacy Iron Song turns. You just throw a Husk and then and throw your Husk plus your basically just throw your armor in there, you're good, right?
Dominate turns.
Yeah, for the dominate turns. I mean, against Prism is also good. Against Ira is also good. Like they command and conquer you, you just throw your Husk and your Skull Cap, and then you're fine.
Yep.
So James' reasoning is Husk blocks for 6, which is equivalent to 2 cards in hand.
Yeah.
Which is 2 cards worth of resources or attacks. Also prevents on hits and dominate. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I guess knowing when to use it, right? Because sometimes maybe I use it too early and I just start the blood depth clock a bit early and then I start dying.
I mean the blood depth clock is not too bad because if you use it early it's like 19. But if you also use it early means your opponent drew very well. Like say he turned to Iron Song Steel Blade Supremacy and you're forced to use it because your hand is awkward in terms of like some of them block for 2, some of them block for 3. Then yeah, but it really like how do I teach people the game is literally depends on your hand. It really depends on your hand, and then the thought process is there, and then how you play out the game.
Okay. So like you mentioned, the still, even though despite Monarch being out, the stable decks are still Dorinthia and Ira, right, for Blitz.
I mean, if I were to recommend people to play, you have 5 decks to choose from if you want to win, and other than that, you just play for fun. Like you play because you like the hero, right?
Yep. Right, so apart from Blitz, right? Because if you look forward to like future stuff like calling and whatsoever, those are gonna be more on focus on CC. So yeah, classic constructed. So what's your view on them though? Because I personally haven't tried much CC because Singapore we don't have much of those events. So tomorrow's Imaginarium's Armory is going to be classic constructed, which is going to be my first armory for that. So I'm looking forward to it. So how do you see like us moving towards a more classic format? Because we also just got the release date for Crucible of War Unlimited, which is in 30th of July, right? 30th of July, and I think CRU cards are the main thing that is like gating everyone right now. Like if especially you want to go into classic constructed where we need 3 copies of stuff like that. So once CRU comes out unlimited, do you feel like we should start moving towards a more CC like format, or Blitz is still like the more popular one?
the thing about Blitz is the games are fast, the games are quick. So for many people in Singapore, if you host it on a weeknight, then you can finish by 10 p.m. and then people can go to bed and then work the next day, right?
Mhm.
But if you play classic, your games are going to be 50 minutes long or longer, or
Mhm.
I mean longer than Blitz on average, and then people are going to stay up later, and then it's basically a turn off for some people.
Mhm.
But then I think a lot of people that I ask that personally that I want them to play classics, and then the reason they say no is because they lack of cards. But
Mm.
I don't think that's a very good reason as well, because you can basically proxy the card, right?
Mhm.
And then shops can hold on demand events, and they still set up prices and say, hey, I have a classic event. I allow proxies because people don't have their first edition cards or whatever, and then we still can play the game. But I just don't see shops or anybody doing that. I know Armory. I think I know Armory cannot proxy because it's like official, but I mean, you can just hold on demand, or learn to play or play any or whatever it's called to host an event. So
Like
if
What's
game
yeah,
nights, casual kind of games lah.
yeah lah. But I mean, if you want to incentivize people to play, the shop can hold an entry fee, set up a price structure and everything.
Mhm.
But for the past 3-4 months, there hasn't been that case. Everybody's just blitz, play IRA, play the same decks. Because it's very different, because in classic you actually have a sideboard, and it matters lah. It matters lah. I put it this way, it matters.
Mhm. But you being, I assume you have tried both formats, right? Which is your preferred format actually, for like Blitz
Um,
and CC?
I think both formats has its own perks lah. Like Blitz is fast, fun. You can play many games, and then the games are fast. They're very different because you don't have 3 copies of a card, right?
Mhm.
So if you block with 2 of the same card, then hey, I don't have any more. But in classic, it's very different. The games generally are longer. You have to preserve resources, try to get incremental advantage from 40 health, and yeah, the games are very different. Even though they still come close to the wire. That's the interesting about this game, and I like this game. Because like no matter how bad the deck is, or how bad your opponent is, if he plays his cards like decently, you're not gonna kill him at 20 life or 40 life.
Mhm.
Definitely. I mean, the maximum is like 25.
25. Yeah, I got 25. Dominated. Full hand intimidated as well. Alright, so Skirmish Season 2 is starting. So how many have you joined so far actually? Are you gonna, because you've already hit your 1,000 mark. So like Season 1 you had a motivation to like, just really chong and grind just to hit the 1k ASAP. So Season 2, do you still have that same passion and the drive to rush for as many skirmishes this season as well? Or are you gonna like take a small seat back, you're still gonna play and like, just have fun?
No lah, I will still definitely play. Like inherently, I just enjoy the game because it's a competitive game at nature, and I think it's very well designed. I mean, among all the card games I played,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, if I didn't enjoy the game, I wouldn't even bother trying to grind the whatever 1,000 points.
Yeah, but it's well deserved lah. This husk down the road is gonna be quite crazy. If you ever decide to just quit and sell, it's gonna be there's bank right there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this game is still relatively new. A lot of design improvements,
Mhm.
especially like supply and demand side. Just one point in time we didn't have any product in Singapore, which was kind of stupid. I couldn't get friends to play the game because they couldn't buy anything.
Yeah, I remember the Chinese New Year period. I was one of those
Yeah.
people trying to get my hands on it, cannot get.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they still didn't have to fix it.
So
So-
if
Yeah.
you think about design, right? So Eugene, why do you think if let's say you are one of the designers of Flesh and Blood, you want to introduce mechanic? What kind of mechanic you want to introduce to the game? I mean, you're a card player, so what do you want to introduce?
That's a dangerous question. I mean,
What is lacking? Okay, so basically, let's just rephrase. What is lacking in all the classes that you see that to make them push to the next step? Okay, so you're saying that okay, this whole Monarch set is like okay, utter garbage. But what do they need a bit more to push them over so that they can actually be more competitive for people in the long run?
If you're talking about Blitz, I just think the format is fast. So cards that block for 2 with decent, semi-decent, or no effect, or irrelevant effect. Nobody's gonna play that card because it blocks for 2. And then design-wise, like I think the prism mechanic, like in terms of having big attacks and you hitting them and then destroying their their auras, is a very cool mechanic. But it also has the problem where you have to take damage to set up a third. But in Blitz, you cannot take damage and do nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like say you take 10 damage means you're at 10, right? But if in Classic you take 10 damage, you're at 30. That's the big difference. So it's difficult because Blitz wasn't a format, say a year ago. It was only introduced recently and people picked it up because of it's fast and it's fun and everything. And
growing the player base, basically.
Yeah, basically it helped to increase the number of players, because you only need 2 copies of the card to play, right? You open probably a case and you're good to go. I just don't want this game to end up like Magic. Like you try a lot of new things and then your play testing team or whatever, somehow they messed up or they missed out, and then they ban cards, and then consecutive bannings will destroy a game basically. So like the first oversight was Drone, but I think they have learned their lesson, and going forward they probably, I hope they won't have such things again. And from why I'm so optimistic is this, because like they have announced that like the subsequent printings of WTR or Welcome to Rave, they won't have include Drone anymore, because it's bad, right? You don't want, as a new player or old player or whatever, basically if you don't want to open a booster pack and then I got a ban card, great, that feeling really sucks. I can tell you that.
Especially for draft.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, as long as they learn from other card games mistakes, I think they're good to go.
Yeah, I think most of us are really hoping that this game takes off. So far, it's quite smooth sailing. I think I feel like things could always be better, especially without this COVID thing going on right now. So like because of this whole COVID issue, we can't have our own like regional or local like calling in Asia, right? I heard, or like there was a rumor that Singapore was like might have a calling, or because of the COVID heightened stuff, and then all this thing got pushed back or cancelled. So like moving forward, like we have like stuff like calling, we have nationals, we have like the pro circuit thing, right?
Yeah, I think those are things that people are looking forward to. So I think moving forward is that Blitz is using to grow the player base, and then after that moving to Classic Constructed, where you understand the cards more, you want to make your own deck, you want to play around with your favorite heroes and stuff, or try new classes, and then try to be more competitive in that sense. So it's like a gradual graduation to the next level. There's an Ultimate Pit Fight as well coming up.
Ultimate Pit Fight is the new EDH if this game gets very big.
Because Travis and I came from Game of Thrones, and we also play like a multiplayer.
Oh yeah, we have melees. Yeah, those are quite crazy. One game is like 1.5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, but CCGs are different, because they are inherently cheaper than a trading card game.
Yeah.
But fighting with 5 other people, or 5 opponents, and trying to outlast each other, that will be quite interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of banter. I think that's what we love the most, right? Banter.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just the social aspect of the game that makes it fun. Like, you know, if you play all these online events, you meet new people, and then you get to, you know, chit chat with them. You know, it's fun and interesting.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah, and like every country's meta is a little bit different and play style, so it's always very interesting. Every game is slightly different. For me personally, like Ira like against like you guys and Ira and like overseas meta somehow just feels different for some odd reason. Even
I
though
mean,
yeah.
yeah, if you want my honest opinion, I think most Singaporeans are like meta slaves. You know, they play what you know they want to win. But I can't fault them because, you know, you
Yep.
spend X amount of money on this deck, you want it to perform, right? Or you want to win. You know? So it's
Especially
different. Yeah. I mean, it's different in other countries lah. Like other countries, they are diehard fans of Dash and Blitz. They're diehard fans of Azalea, you know, because they play because they like the class. You know, it's
Yep.
very different.
Mhm.
They don't care about winning or losing. But I think generally in Singapore, a lot of people, you know, they play to win.
Yeah, it's our culture lah. It's not just for card games. I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah,
It's like last time when the in-person armory is 8 slots, 7 out of 8 is Iras most of the time. Then one random person with a Dorantia or like a Viserai or Bravo.
It's like the men's side where it's like, oh, I don't care whether you lose as long as you lose more than me. I lose also never mind, but you must lose more than me,
Mhm.
even if I don't win.
Yeah.
I think it's good lah, because I think you have that competitive spirit. You want to try to beat this other player. Like you meet this person like 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times you lose to this person. It's like, okay, I need to understand how the guy plays. I understand what he's doing.
Mhm.
First turn, what's his tactic, and then you know you slowly get better and better towards the end. Yeah, I think that's great also.
Yeah, lah, so here's to just hoping that eventually this whole COVID thing is done. I can't wait to travel. I will be definitely very excited if I had the opportunity to travel and play. Because Shan and I used to do that a lot for Game of Thrones. We go to Bangkok, Malaysia to play Game of Thrones with our regional friends. So I'm pretty sure Flesh and Blood is going to be even crazier. The community is way bigger in Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones community is so much smaller compared to this. So we look forward to that, and I'm pretty sure you as well, Eugene. Like all the pro circuit and stuff, right? I'm pretty sure you'll see you go very far, especially once this thing takes off, when we eventually can travel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely want to play like those New Zealanders, Australians. You know, they played like 1.5 years or 2 years more than us. And I was like, okay, they have the experience, but I want to know, you know, what the gap is.
Yeah, man. Like my wife has been trying to get me to go New Zealand. I'm usually a bit meh. I think now it's like, yeah, okay, let's go. Then I'll go to like Card Merchant or something and meet some people and play. Yeah, so go shopping by yourself or something.
I want
Yeah,
the experience that you go to Singapore shop is like, okay, you have like 40 people playing. Okay, like 2-3 years ago, it was like 40 people playing. It's like, okay, this is like, wow, this is so huge, something like that. And then suddenly you go to New Zealand and it's like, wow, you have like 200-300 people walking around. And then you're like, wow, it's like the pleasure's on you, the feeling is there, people you know, people you played online with. I think that's the different feeling that we all want to get, right?
Yeah, meeting them, like literally, like no pun intended, meeting them in the Flesh and Blood is... I think that was the whole point, right? It was named Flesh and Blood because the intention of the game was to be meant to be played in person. Because from what I understand, because I'm not a Magic player, but from my understanding is that Magic kind of like forsaken its physical game and kind of like supported more to the digital side or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy money to make, I guess.
Alright, so I think we are hitting the end of the stream. So as usual, we will always have a small giveaway. So followed from my last my case break episode. I think there's not really people left watching. I have 2 more slots for my Monarch Unlimited box break. Not case break. Box break. I have 2 more slots. So for whoever is left, good for you lah. Everyone else who not patient enough to stay till the end. So I have 2 more slots. Currently the previous winners cannot take part again. You're not Kelong. Because like Sean Yap, Shan, Tim and Zack Lau, those cannot take part again. So whoever is left, we have 2 slots left. So all you need to do is just type in Gold Husk. Gold, Gold Husk. Yeah, Sean, you cannot be greedy. So type in Gold Husk and I'll add you to the wheel. And then, yeah. Be a very small wheel today. So Eugene, when will we see you use your Go Husk? Are you gonna use chain for this event, for this skirmish season, or will you be playing IRA all the way?
Only one way to find out lah.
Only one way to find out is when we face you, right? We get pet together.
I mean, you can see me playing in online skirmishes, and that's one way to find out.
We look forward to that. We don't want to spoil it for our international people our friends who do happen to stumble upon this video also, so that, you know. Okay, we have a few people typing already. Poji23, who is that actually? Do you know it? Oh, that's Fauzi. Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to add in?
Nah, it's just that it's sad because we actually had a calling, but in Singapore, but it got cancelled lah.
Yeah, it was so sad to hear that, right? Because
if you watch the James White podcast, you would have heard him say it.
Oh, that was also, it's not even a rumor, it was confirmed, right? That we were supposed to have one.
Yeah.
I think around this region, I think we are one of the bigger.
I mean, if you just look at the leaderboards and you click Singapore, I think there's like 300-400 people, which is quite insane. Maybe even more.
I was randomly clicking and then I hit like Slovenia or something.
Slovenia?
Not
Oh,
Slovenia, Slovakia.
Slovakia.
Yeah, they like have 14 people.
I thought Ultron destroyed it.
That's
Okay, never mind. Alright, going to be doing the wing. We only have 4 people in. So we have, let me just change this. I hope it doesn't break the stream. Alright. Everyone can see the wheel? I hope so. We have Fauzi, we have Ben Leong, we have Alvin Wong and Chun Heng. So we have 2 slots already to give away today. So let's go. Let's not waste too much time. 50-50. See who's sway, don't get anything. Oh, is it Fauzi? Is it Ben Leong? Wow, Ben Leong, you just sniped Fauzi. Okay, so Ben Leong gets 1. 33%. Looks like Chun Heng is getting a last slot. Alright, congrats to Ben Leong and Chun Heng. Thanks for staying all the way. Oh, did I spell your name wrongly? Never mind lah, you get it correct already. So anyway, thanks so much, especially to Eugene for joining us and sharing with us your insight.
No worries.
Yeah, it's always good to hear from the pro player's perspective. It's something that we don't get to listen to every day.
I
mean, my best advice for people who want to get better at the game is just play more. Like, yeah, literally play more. You know, just. I think by playing more, if you lose more, you get, you know, you have some salt in you, and then you will realize why you're losing so much.
That's right. The salt works. It didn't work fully for me. I did not get a library, but I did get 6 Kofoy, so I can't complain. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks Eugene once again, especially to you. And
you guys take care, stay safe.
Yeah, you too, man. So for those who won, the Monarch Unlimited is coming out very shortly. So once it's next week, right? 11 June. So once that comes out, I'll be doing that box break on stream for all of you. Yeah. So once again, thanks everyone. Good night, and see all of you for Skirmish and all the late endless nights that we'll be playing together. I hope. Yeah. Right. Good night, guys.
Yeah, beer together. Alright.
Yeah, you cannot drink beer, you.
Root beer.
Root beer. Alright. Thanks everyone. Good night.
See you.